We're preparing for the live streaming. Can everyone see me clearly?
Yes, yes.
I'd
Yes.
really appreciate if I could see all the beautiful faces today. Let's have this interaction. Let's have this session very interactive. That way, as I know whom am I connecting with, and I could, probably relate the name with your face. It will be very helpful for me. Well, again, it's the limitations that you'll have if you're not able to, if you're out traveling, it's fine. Not a compulsion, but it'd be really great if you could turn your camera on so that I could, match the face, link the face with the name, and that'll help us have a session, an interactive one. All right. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us back. Yesterday's session was the initial session in which we've discussed the starting of Bhagavad Gita. Now, we've discussed what happened in Bhagavad Gita. How many shlokas did Krishna recite? How many shlokas did Arjuna recite? So on and so forth, right? So let's have a quick recap of the important points that we've covered yesterday. Could someone help me understand, or could someone give me a quick recap of the 5 points why Arjuna didn't want to fight? Anyone? Please raise your hand. Please raise your digital hand. The attendance link is shared with y'all today. Y'all could access the attendance link a little later. Yes. Yogita Mataji. I think you can unmute yourself. Yes.
Due to compassion.
Compassion. Yes. The very first one was compassion. Thank you very much for the first point. Now, yes, compassion. Now, what was the next? Now, when we say compassion, Yogita Mataji, could you elaborate what was Arjuna's, when we say compassion, what is this compassion all about? On what grounds was Arjuna compassionate?
Prabhuji, Arjuna was compassionate because when he saw his family members in opposite party, he become compassionate because he said that how can I fight with my own family members? It's kind of sin. So he
Right.
was lamenting and compassionate about
Right.
Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for elaborating that, Mataji. That's wonderful. Who's next? Please do not hesitate to give your answers. Anyone, whoever is willing to respond, no answer is a wrong answer. Everyone's a learner, including myself. We all are learning. So do not hesitate in giving any of your responses. I'd really appreciate if all of y'all could make notes of the points that we discussed, the important ones. And, let's have a quick recap. Like I said, an interactive session would help you understand better instead of just me blabbing, talking, and then you just hear me blabbing, and then you forget everything. So if you interact, if you're part of the conversation, you all will be able to remember. Wonderful. So I see a couple of hands raised. Shanti Sudesh Prabhu.
Hare
Sorry,
Krishna
Mataji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, destruction of dynasty.
Destruction of dynasty. So which part, what's the word related to that, Mataji?
Religion.
Religion. Okay. So that's a good try. But would you like to think again while I connect with the next individual? Think over and give me the exact word. Who else do we have? Sanvi Narula.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes. So what?
I would say Arjuna was hesitant because there was no enjoyment as he was killing his own kinsmen.
Right. So one of the 5 reasons why Arjuna didn't want to fight was no enjoyment, because he said, what's the enjoyment in fighting and winning by killing my own people, right? Yes, that's one. First was compassion, and then we spoke about no enjoyment. Okay, what else? Ankita Pinnu Mataji.
Sin, like he feels about even though I kill all of the Kauravas side, so he will get the sin only. So like how
Sin,
Arjuna feels.
right, yes. Compassion, sin, yes. And I think Shanti Mataji wanted to talk about family tradition. Right, Mataji? So, yes,
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. When the elders in the family are killed, then
yes.
the
So that's
family tradition will be destroyed.
compassion, sin, family tradition. We've spoken about no enjoyment, 4 points done. What's the fifth one?
Indecision.
Indecision. Yes. That's the fifth point. That's indecision. When we say indecision, what happened there?
Confusion.
Yes, confusion. He wasn't able to decide what to do next. Okay, wonderful. I'd really appreciate if all of us, whenever we respond, we unmute ourselves, respond, and then once the response is done, we just mute ourselves back. That will help us, that'll save us a lot of time and help us continue in the same mood. Yogita Mataji, you raised your hand. Back down now. Okay, no problem. Wonderful. So yes, we've spoken about 5 reasons why. Okay, somebody is asking, kindly resend the attendance link. Sure, Prabhu. We'll resend the attendance link, but the attendance link will be given just 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the end of the session, because I'd really like everyone to be part of the session completely. While I understand that the certificate of completing Bhagavad Gita 18 days course is extremely important for all of y'all, I really don't want y'all to just join for the heck of attendance and then leave eventually. I want you to understand the chapters and then maybe give your attendance. So that's for everyone. So we'll give the attendance link about 10 to 15 minutes before the end of the session. Okay, wonderful. So let me see if I'll be able to share the screen, and here it is. Okay, all right. So that's there. Okay, now first, I think I'll stop screen sharing. I was just testing if I'm able to. Since I'm able to, let me just connect on these points. Now, when we spoke about indecision, now is it right or wrong for Arjuna to be indecisive? Can someone answer this question? Is it right or wrong for Arjuna to be indecisive?
It was wrong for Arjuna to be
Okay.
indecisive because he was Kshatriya and his dharma was to fight.
In some ways
against.
correct and in some ways it is wrong, Prabhuji,
Right.
as per my
Yeah.
understanding.
Right. So that we're nobody to decide if it is right or wrong, but we're just trying to check with the basic minimum knowledge, bare minimum knowledge that we've gained in yesterday's session. We're just trying to put our tiny brains to see if we are right or wrong. So no response is a wrong response. So yes, somebody says right, somebody says wrong. But as a Kshatriya, that's exactly why we have chapter 2, right? That's exactly why the entire Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Now, if, like I said yesterday, if Arjuna wouldn't have been confused, if Arjuna wouldn't have asked this question, or if Arjuna wouldn't have surrendered to Krishna, we wouldn't have had Bhagavad Gita, right? So in the Yoga Maya, Arjuna sought all of these questions, and then Krishna gave us Bhagavad Gita, which is for the betterment of mankind, right? Now, let me just start off with a couple of questions that I've received from yesterday's session that I've had in my DM. Okay, in yesterday's session, I've mentioned that the chariot was gifted by Surya Dev, right? No, it was wrong. It was slip of my tongue. It was not Surya Dev, it was Agni Dev, right? So the chariot of Arjuna was gifted by Agni Dev. So that's a small correction. And then I have a question. How many years ago was the first Bhagavad Gita spoken? We've answered this question. Bhagavad Gita,
5,500 BC ago.
yes, approximately 5,000 years ago, Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna. But actually, Bhagavad Gita was spoken way long ago. It existed from time immemorial, right? It was spoken to sun god,
God.
right? It was spoken to sun god Vivashwan about 12 crores 4 lakh years ago, right? So that was the time when Bhagavad Gita was first spoken. And then next question I have is, why was it spoken to Arjuna again? If it was spoken to the sun god, why was it spoken to Arjuna again? Why do you think it was spoken to Arjuna again?
Why? Because
Because
Adharma is ruling
the
and Dharma is wasting away.
Because discipline succession was broken.
Okay.
Because the history repeats itself, and with time things are forgotten and need to be reassured again.
Yes. There you go.
Sambhava. Okay.
That's the right answer. Revision. Right? Where did the word revision come from? Of course, here. There's so much of revision in the entire world. We, as kids, when we were in school, we revised whatever we've learned in the entire year. We've done that in our graduation, everywhere. Even when we submit our work, we revise before we submit our work. Revision is why we had, Bhagavad Gita spoken again, because again, the reasons that you all have given, because dharma was fading. So to establish dharma, again, why was it spoken? Very important point, very important shloka of Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmastya, right? So, no matter how many times Krishna will come, Krishna will take he will appear and he will establish dharma, right? He established dharma, in the form of the body of a Krishna. He established dharma or a bhakti in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, all of this is revision, right? And then where was Bhagavad Gita spoken? That's the next question. Where was Bhagavad Gita spoken?
In Kurukshetra.
Yes, Kurukshetra. There was a place named Jyotisar, right? Jyotisar was the name back then. It's also partially, addressed as Jyotisar now, but primarily at this point in time, in the current era, it's named as Gitopadesha. In Kurukshetra, there is a small town named Gitopadesha or Jyotisar, which is about 5 kilometers away from the Kurukshetra city or the town. Okay, so that's exactly where Bhagavad Gita was spoken. All right. Now, chapter 2 is extremely important. Like, in the notes that y'all have received on WhatsApp, you'll see that it's the summary of entire Bhagavad Gita. It's very important. In 72 shlokas of chapter 2, Krishna has summarized the entire Bhagavad Gita for us. Okay. Now, let's understand. In the first chapter, did Krishna speak?
No.
No, Prabhuji.
Right? So there, what was one important criteria that Krishna set as a teacher? What very important quality that Krishna taught us of being a teacher?
He was listening.
He scolded actually.
Listening. No, we'll look at that part today. Did he scold? Did he not scold? We'll look at that part today, because Krishna started talking now. In the first chapter, all that he said, look who's come for to the battlefield. That's all he said. He did not talk about anything. He just heard. He was so kind. He was so merciful. He's just, you know, generally when we are at, certain stage where, let's just say, okay, I'll give you a story which His Grace Namanishta Prabhu has told us. Once there was a couple, they were sitting in the house watching television, husband's watching television, and there's a news stating, if there's a huge flood, everybody's going to die, water is entering everybody's houses, so on and so forth. Now the wife is worried. The wife just, doesn't know what to do, what not to do. He's running here and there. We're going to die. We're going to die. We'll have to save this. We'll have to save that, so on and so forth. But husband was just calm, quiet, composed. And after some time, again in the news, we hear that, yeah, everything's settled. Nobody's going to die. The floods are settled now. All right, it's taken care of. So wife asked, how come you were all composed? I was so worried listening to this news, this heavy rainfall, supporting this particular news. How were you so calm? How were you so composed? Husband said, okay, why don't you get me a knife? She went into the kitchen, got the knife, and gave it to the husband. The husband took the knife and kept it in the front of wife. And after some time, husband asked, why aren't you scared? She said, because there is my husband behind the knife. What did she say? She said, there's my husband behind the knife, right? And then Krishna says, yes, the husband says, yes, that's exactly what it is. There is Krishna behind everything, right? So why did I say this? When we are in such situations, we get so worried. We are not sure what to do. We lose our composure. We run here and there. We worried. We're in tears. We're sweating, so on and so forth. But when he saw Arjuna going haywire, who's so matured in his thoughts, who's so strong with his willpower on the battlefield, is asking such silly questions. We'll look into that. So let's just start with this. I am sharing the screen. All right. Can everyone see the screen? Just anybody could unmute yourselves and let me know if you're able to look at the screen.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right. Now, like I said, chapter 2 is a summary of Bhagavad Gita. So it's extremely important for all of us to make notes, because since it's a summary, a lot of points related to this will keep arising in the future as well. All right. Now here in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, of course, Bhagavad Gita in itself is a jewel, but chapter 2 has multiple jewels, and this is one of the best shlokas, and one of my favorites. Every time I read this shloka or hear this shloka from anyone, I just cannot control my feelings, my love towards the Almighty, which is Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha prachhami tvam dharma sammudha cheta yachreyasyam nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadhimam mam prapannam. Here, what's happening is Krishna is saying that I'm confused. He said, this is the shloka where exactly when Arjuna surrendered himself. Right? He said, I am confused. I don't know what to do in this particular situation. I'm not sure what I have to do, what I should not do. So, I just surrender unto you. It was such an easy thing to do, but do we do that? No. When we are worried, when things don't go according to our situation, we are tense, BP shoots up or BP falls down, and then we are admitted in the hospital. All of these things happen. But with Arjuna, he was so smart. He just said, okay, enough. I'm confused. I just don't know what to do. I'm surrendering unto you. Now you tell me, you guide me. Simple. अपनी परेशानी सब कुछ कृष्णा पे डाल दिया, right? He just handed over all of his worries, all of his tensions, worries, everything onto Krishna, and he says, "Okay, I'm surrendering onto you." Um, as you all can see, Arjuna is surrendering with so much of love. You can see in his eyes, and this is exactly where we said we'll talk about this. Krishna, if we would have been in such situation, we would have, slapped our kids, or, we would have, been so frustrated in that situation. But Krishna is so merciful. He's just smiling, understanding. Okay, he just understood that, all right. Now, until now, Arjuna was in Sakhya Bhav, friend, right? And now he's becoming a devotee. Until now, Arjuna was friend. Now he's turning into a devotee by surrendering himself. That's exactly what we see. Now, we spoke about Krishna smiling. If we would have been in that situation, we would have, if our kid was asking that question, and if we were there in that situation, we would have slapped, we would have hit our kid, we would have, tapped on the head, or we would have been frustrated, yelled, "Oh, what is this? Why are you asking this question now?" But Krishna is just giving that beautiful smile looking at Arjuna. Now, in the entire Bhagavad Gita, when Vedavyasa was, or when he's written Bhagavad Gita, he had spoken, or he'd written as Bhagavan Uvacha. Now, he could have written Krishna Uvacha, right? He could have, because Krishna has Sahasranama, he could have used any of the Sahasranamas. He could have said, Madhava Uvacha. He could have said Kanhaiya Uvacha, right? But why did he say Sri Bhagavan Uvacha? So who is Krishna? Who is Krishna?
All attractive. Who
All
possesses
Paramatma.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes, yes. I'm so honored to receive such positive feedback, such wonderful answers. Yes. What are the 6 opulences of Krishna?
He is all attractive. He is all opulent. He has all fame. He has
strength,
all
Renunciation.
beauty,
All knowledge.
Name,
all
fame,
knowledge.
renunciation.
Renunciation.
Very
Yeah.
simple. Just if we have to remember the opulences of Krishna, remember Krishna. 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 K, all knowledge. R, all renunciation, all riches. When we say all riches, Devi Lakshmi herself is with Krishna. So there is nobody in the entire planet or entire planetary system who's as rich as Krishna, right? So, and who's as knowledgeable as Krishna. So all knowledgeable, all renunciation, and all riches. I, all influence. There is nobody, or all fame. There's nobody in the entire world who's as famous as him, right? Or who's as influential as him. In spite of it being 5,000 odd years or 500 odd years, we are still talking about, sorry, 5,000 odd years. And when I say 500 odd years, we're talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So in spite of so many years, we're still talking about him. Do we talk about any of the actors or actresses once they pass their body, once they leave their body? Okay, maybe for a couple of years, maybe that particular generation will talk about them. But after that, nobody talks about them. But no matter how many generations come, they still talk about Krishna. So he's all famous, all influential. That's Kris. All strength. There is nobody who has so much of power, so much of strength as much as Krishna. S, H, all handsome, all beautiful. He is the epitome of beauty. There is nobody. When we look at someone, that's another thing that we will talk about in this particular chapter as well. We look at someone, we're so attracted towards that individual, thinking, oh, that individual is so beautiful. Oh, If it is a guy, then the guy will talk about, oh, her skin's so beautiful. Oh, her personality is so beautiful. Now, there's nobody who's as beautiful as Radha Krishna. Radha Rani and Krishna himself is so beautiful, the epitome of beauty. N-A, not attached. N-A, not attached. He's not attached to anything or anyone. He's, super soul, of course, right? So here, in this particular chapter, it's clearly demonstrated who Krishna is, who is Bhagavan, right? Now, another thing, very important point, which in Sanskrit, the word Bhagavan is very clearly defined by the great authority that's Parashara Muni. Who is Parashara Muni?
Father of Vyasdev.
Vyasadeva. He has clearly defined, the term Bhagavan as all fame, all riches, all knowledgeable, all strength, right? So these 6 opulences were defined by this great authority. Now, there are different stages of knowing the God, of knowing the super soul. What are those stages? Does anyone know?
Repeat
Can
the
you
question.
repeat the question, please?
There are 3 stages of knowing the God, knowing
Brahman,
Brahman,
Bhagwan.
Paramatma, and Bhagwan.
Yes, I think y'all should be the ones who should be taking this session. Y'all know all the answers. Wonderful. Yes, 3 stages: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Now, here's the example that we have. When we look at something from very far, here's something that we're looking at from very far. We see maybe some mountain somewhere here or there, not to be seen, but some time or somewhere it's probably seen. Y'all can see the screen, right?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. So when we go a little closer, what do we see? Somewhere on that mountain, we see a tree. Okay, nice. When we go a little more closer, what do we see? We see a parrot eating fruits, right? So that these are those 3 stages, to be simple, right? Apart from that, let me also give you the analogy that His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada had given, which is sun. Now, if sun rays, now when a common layman, when he or she hears the term God, what do they think of? Maybe a light. Light, right? Okay. Another story I have for y'all. In a village during British rule, train never existed. So Britishers were just laying the tracks. They were just ensuring that there's a railway built. So the villagers of India did not have an idea of what train was. So the Sarpanch of the village said, all right, in the evening, there would be a train visiting our village because the tracks are laid. These are the tracks we see. So there'll be a train visiting or passing by our village. So everyone, all the villagers came, sat in the station and wanted to see how train looks because they've never seen what train is. They just hear the term train, 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 but they don't know what train is. So what happened? Everyone came, sat. They were just waiting, 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 waiting. They came in the afternoon. It's already evening. They're all tired waiting. It's already night. They're all tired. And they said, okay, it's enough. We're just going back. We'll go back and sleep. Everyone left except 3 individuals. Now, 3 individuals sat and kept waiting. All of a sudden, they see something coming. Now, what did they see at night? If you see train coming, what do you see first?
The light, headlight.
Exactly, headlight, light. So they saw the light. Now, out of 3, one person jumped up out of joy and then ran towards the villagers. And because the villagers slept, he woke them up and said, wake up, I see a train, I see a train. Train is nothing but a light. The villagers woke up. Oh, it's a light. All right. And then they went back to sleep. All right. Now, the second and third individuals were still waiting. After some time, there was some shape that the second individual and third individual saw. So the second individual jumped out of joy again and ran towards the villagers. No, no, it's not light. Train is not light. It's snake. Because train has this different, curves that it takes, right? Because of the track that's laid. So he saw it's a snake. So he went and he said, no, it's a snake. Villagers woke up and said, oh, train is a snake. And then they went back to sleep. The third person was extremely patient. He kept waiting for the train to come closer and closer and closer, and then finally it reached the destination. He saw the train and he saw people getting down from it. He saw people sleeping. He saw people sitting. He saw people eating. And then he said, wow, this is a train. So the only person who could actually understand and see train was this individual who was patiently waiting. So what does this explain to us?
We should have
That
always in life.
When we hear the term Krishna or when we hear the term Lord, we think, or God, we think God is light. That's the first step. Like the sunshine is the first step. That's Brahman. Right? So if sunshine is Brahman, what is Paramatma?
Sun surface.
Sun surface. Right. And what is Bhagwan?
One. Sun planet. Sun
The
itself.
form itself, the Krishna form itself.
Exactly. So these are the three stages of knowing Bhagwan. Now you see, this is a beautiful painting. Now, for someone to paint.
Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt. I think your PPT got stuck at the first page.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
Yeah, it's now showing.
Visible now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that means y'all were not able to see this particular analogy that I wanted y'all to see. Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now can y'all see a sky?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Okay. So
Prabhuji, can you repeat Brahman one? Brahman
Sure.
form.
Sure, definitely. So here, this, like I said, if a sun rays is Brahman, that's the first step. When we think of God, we think of God as the light, right? As you can see, if we look at a mountain from the far, we see some shape of it. If we go a little more closer, we see the shape being a little bigger. If we go a little more closer, we see trees or plant on it, right? And if we go a little more closer or extreme close, we'll see birds or something sitting and, or for that matter, even the fruits. That's exactly what's projected on your screen. So as you keep going closer, you see the personality, right? So now if, let's just say, okay, an example. When Srila Prabhupada was giving his lecture, one of his disciples asked, Prabhupada, you know what? When I was chanting, I saw the light. Okay, good. Go on. Continue doing that. And then he goes on and on. And the next time when he meets Srila Prabhupada, he said, you know what? I saw some shape. Said, okay, wonderful, good. Go on. Continue doing that. And then he goes on, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that continues for some years. And then after some time, he comes back and says, Prabhupada, you know what? I actually saw the pastimes of Krishna. So that's exactly what it is. The level of bhakti, being able to look or being able to see Krishna, being able to understand his pastimes. Now, a lot of us, just because we read the book of Krishna, we try creating the stories in our mind. That's not how it's supposed to be. When we start chanting, we just focus on the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We just focus on that particular mantra and eventually, slowly, we are able to see light. We're able to see. Now, that does not mean it certainly happens, that you will certainly see a light, you will certainly see an akar, you will certainly see the pastime. You will develop that eventually. All right. So these are the three stages of looking, or three stages of reaching the Paramatma, the super soul. Right. So the three stages that we spoke about of bhakti or knowing God is one, Brahman. The first step is Brahman, which is the epidermal layer. All right. And then we have second one, which is Paramatma. All right. Reaching the doorstep. And then third is Bhagavan, which is the Lord Shri Krishna himself. Okay. Now for someone
Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
Hare Krishna. His network, his screen is stuck. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, your screen has got frozen. I think he's logging in back.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
I'll make
Krishna.
you the host.
So sorry. Yeah, I have the connection. There was a power outage. Apologies. Check if the recording is in progress.
We'll have to restart the, sorry. I think
Yes.
the focus shifted. Abhirami Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the host is Abhirami Mataji has become host.
Yeah, I think she unmuted. So when I was trying, it just got shifted.
Okay. Abhirami Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji, could you please give me the host access?
Can you unmute yourself, Mataji?